It's Tuesday, going over this grapevine, headed to Stockton today. It was completely blue skies coming through Pasadena and Santa Clarita, most of Southern California here. But the minute I passed this grapevine, you still see some snow up there. Over yonder, it's all dark clouds. So hopefully I don't get dumped on here. But it was 65 degrees in towards Los Angeles area, LA County area. But over here, this Fraser Mountain, man, there's a bite in the air. It is cold, man.
That's right. You know what time it is. It's time for Business Bites. Business Bites.
So this week for Business Bites, I want to talk about IOS, which is basically industrial outdoor storage. And it's a fancy way of saying semi-truck parking lot. So statistically, there are over 3 million semi-trucks on the road, but then there are only 300,000 truck parking spots available out there. That's not company owned or whatnot. So public or private parking spots that allow you to park your semi-truck there. Anyway, so a lot of people start these iOS locations in areas where there are potentially a lot of semi-trucks and people driving to their semi-trucks. So let's say you live in a suburb of Los Angeles. If you try to find truck parking somewhere here where, let's say you are an owner operator and you need to park your truck for the weekend because you wanted to go home, it's very hard to find affordable truck parking around here. What a lot of these iOS operators do is they go ahead and get a piece of land and then they make sure that it's paved, or they lay out the stones, make sure it's not all mud or whatever, and they turn it into a truck parking lot. And a lot of these truck parking lots will have tour buses, smaller delivery trucks like Amazon delivery trucks, or they'll have like big semi trucks and trailers, containers. And people will drive to these yards, to these iOS facilities, and park their small car and keep their car parked there while they jump in their truck and drive for whether it's 5 days, 10 days, a better part of a month. Come back, park their truck, and then take off with their car. So if you set it up right, this could be either a hands-on business or it could be a passive income situation, depending on how you set up your lot. And there's YouTube videos on starting on iOS and running a successful iOS out there. But I thought that it was a niche market that has not been maximized yet. If you've got 3 million trucks and only 300,000 parking spots across America, there's a lot of opportunity out there still. And it doesn't really take a whole lot of money and time to get this thing rolling. It seems like, it's not like opening up a restaurant or something like that. It's just a parking lot basically for big vehicles. And so it doesn't seem as hard. I mean, there are hurdles. Every business has their hurdles, but you could either lease the property first with a long-term lease or buy the property as an investment, but yeah. Especially in near big cities, if you could get access to cheap land, you can probably make a lot of money running this business.
So for the most part, this week we had great weather and beautiful scenes all up and down California. I didn't get a chance to go out of state this week, but up and down the 5 freeway and going through the Tehachapi. I don't know what was going on, but there was a lot of highway patrol everywhere, and they pulled over a lot of trucks. So I learned that a lot of these CHP officers in California, when they pull over truckers, they'll say something like, "I'm just doing my job," or "I know you're a professional, but we have to do our job as well." Something like that. And I think they say that because one, either they hate giving out tickets and something irks at them. I don't know, maybe, but it might be also something like, "Hey, don't take this personally. I know that this mark is going to hurt your career or hurt your record, and it could be detrimental to you, but I still have to enforce the law. This is my job," and they come across it that way, or I just think that they don't enjoy giving out tickets. But it is a part of their job. It is, and unfortunately, they are probably, and this is just my take again, they're probably pushed at certain points by the higher ups to enforce the law a little bit more aggressively and be a little bit more aggressive in giving out tickets. And I think there are times, and again, just my theory, and I don't know anything about how the CHP works here in California, but most likely that they push to make a statement or hit a metrics that they need to hit, and then I also think, I hear a lot of other truckers telling me that, oh, it's California, they need money, so they have to punish people and write out more tickets so they can make money. Whatever it is, it is what it is. And just be careful out there. I don't know if it's going to continue until next week, but it just seems like a lot of trucks were pulled over and there was a lot more activity on the roads. I mean, at least where I drove, there was a lot more activity. And I know it could be tough for a lot of you guys driving through this state of California, and some of the laws here are pretty outdated, or they're just some of the traffic laws don't make sense here, so it could get really frustrating. But I want to encourage you guys to be safe and try your best to not do anything you shouldn't. But all in all, as you could see from my driving the scenes, we had great weather, and spring is upon us now. So I think in some parts the weather got warm, and in other parts it's cold. So it's as we drive, we have to layer basically to stay cool and then stay warm.
What's going on, my people? So this week was a pretty challenging week. I would say that probably one of the most challenging weeks I've had so far. And I guess with time, some of the challenging days of the past are probably erased because just over time, you don't remember all the bad stuff that happened. But anyway, this week was pretty challenging in many levels. And I think as drivers out there, we can sometimes get into funks, where we don't feel as motivated. We don't feel that burst of energy. We don't feel as proactive as we want. And we're just kind of going through the grind, the same old, same old. And a few hiccups and your energy gets sapped. And I think I hit one of those points this week. And by the end of this week, I was kind of tired. I was glad that I wasn't driving anymore. And I think it had the week gone better, I wouldn't have felt like that. But it's just the whole thing just wore me out. So I ended up with about 1,700 miles this week. So I got a load that was a local load going from the Stockton area to Sacramento. And I asked the backroom staff to see if they could remove this load because last week I did 1,500 miles. It was a very bad week. It was very bad. And so I wanted to keep driving. I wanted to keep driving and I wanted to make the money that I leave my house every week to make. You live in a truck, you want to make money. You don't live in a truck because it's nice. Anyway, so I went ahead and asked them, can you please remove this load or change it out? And they said, they'll see what they can do. But somebody in the back, I think it was one of the planners, they said, no, this load needs to get delivered. We can't remove this load from you. And I said, okay, I mean, if the company needs it that bad, you're going to do it. So he said, all right. And that was delivering on the 21st, which was a Friday. I got there early. I took this load over there and they looked at me like I was crazy. My backroom staff is telling me that this has to be delivered and there's, no way around it. It was obviously somebody who delivered this load to a certain point and then they turned it into a relay. And they kind of get on my case because they say, well, it's not fair for other drivers when we keep turning your loads into relays and they have to, do a local load, and usually you have local drivers for that, but I guess for some reason in certain areas, they don't have as many local drivers as they want that's available. In this case, I went ahead and delivered this load and they looked at me and said, this load is not due until the 24th, which is a Monday. And this was a Friday morning. and I said, really? And they said, yeah. And they looked like they weren't going to take the load. And so I talked to them and they basically said, well, you know what, you can drop the trailer and then pick up an empty if there's one around here. But there was no empty. So I went ahead and dropped that loaded trailer. They took the load. And so I called up my company, let them know what's going on. They changed everything in the assignment. And I was good to go. So then they went ahead and gave me another assignment going from Napa Valley all the way down to Chino. And I said, okay, good. But you know what? It's already Friday. If I pick up this load and go down, it's going to be probably Saturday morning. Can you please let them know that I need one more round trip? Let them know that I need two more legs so I could finish the week with 6 long distance trips so I could get a decent week. And they said they'll see what they can do. Anyway, what ended up happening was this load that I'm picking up at Napa and taking down to Chino was due for Saturday morning. And all of a sudden, somebody changed the date. I got a pop-up saying, the delivery appointment time has been changed from Saturday morning, the 22nd, to Monday, the 24th. So obviously, if I'm taking this down and they're changing that date, either they're going to change it into a relay where I can drop it off in another yard and I could pick up something else, or they're going to send me home. So I started kind of losing it, and I thought to myself, you know what, they're probably going to turn into relay. So I went ahead and I sent them a message saying that, can you please turn this into a relay and then keep me moving so I can get 2 more legs in and then end the week. So they turned this into a relay, but instead of giving me 2 more runs, they sent me home. So I got sent home, Saturday and with pretty much 4 long distance runs. So last week was bad and then this week was bad. So I got frustrated. And while you're driving, when you're driving frustrated, I'll be honest with you. Like sometimes you're not the sharpest, and so I think it's important to try to not let your drivers get so frustrated because it will affect their driving. Anyway, so what ended up happening was I felt so unmotivated and drained towards the end, and it's not like I wasn't driving safe or anything like that. It was, I was driving normal, but just you just don't feel as sharp as you normally do, and then you just feel tired, and it wasn't a good situation. Anyway, I went ahead and reached out to my manager and told him basically what all the stuff was going on with my loads, and he suggested that I switch my schedule. So now, this coming week, he wants me to temporarily start on Monday and see how that goes, and then the week after, the following week, so next week, he wants me to start on a Sunday and see how that goes. Because I asked him, I've been here 15 months, and I feel like I'm begging for work, begging for me to keep driving. It's like for me to have a 10-hour driving day, I have to like really beg them, or things the stars have to align just the right way or something. It's just crazy. So I think things will get better. I think I don't know. If they don't have that many loads, they have too many drivers. If they're hiring too many drivers, what about the existing drivers, the veteran drivers, the drivers that have been there since day one, of this account? It kind of sucks for us, right? Because they keep hiring. I don't know why they're hiring new drivers then. I'm sure there's a reason why, and they probably anticipated a busy March and busy February and whatnot. But it just they still should give the priority to the senior drivers. And it's a little frustrating when we feel like we're getting the short end of the stick. They say I'm the top earner in the department and I'm making good money, and in turn, I'm making the company money, and they say stuff like that to me. But I don't know. If I'm the top earner, I want to drive like 10, 11 hours a day if possible. When at all possible, I want to do that, and I would like to end my week in 5 days. Whether it's Tuesday to Saturday or Monday through Friday, whatever. Just 5 days, 70 hours, get it done, go home, have a good weekend, come back, rinse and repeat. So that was my week. Really frustrating. Just everything building up was frustrating. There's a lot of other stuff that I went through that I don't want to talk about, and just a lot of drama and headache. But for the most part, like my direct contact and my manager, they're great. They do what they can. All the people I deal with that I talk to, they're good people. They work hard and they get you what you need. They try to make sure that your needs are met, and I really appreciate them a lot. But either the system is broken or something's going on. Somebody's making decisions that doesn't jive well with the driver, and I know that the DTLs that deal with us. I mean, I'm just one person, and I give my share of kind of whiny moments, or I mean, it could come across that way. But when I have to say, "Hey, I need this," or "Why is this happening?" or "This doesn't make any sense," all the times that they have to hear me say that, and it's not them that are making these decisions. Somebody else is making these decisions, or the system is causing them to make these decisions. And so they have to be the buffer, and they have to hear a lot of the nonsense, and they probably get sandwiched from both sides hearing a lot of this nonsense. So hopefully things get better. I think maybe it is to kind of as a workaround. If I do change my schedule temporarily, maybe things will be better for me as an individual. I don't know about the whole system getting better or the whole setup getting better, but at least for me, I can get my miles. And at the end of the day, I can't worry about everybody else and everything else. I just have to, make money for me and for my family. Do what I can for me. So anyway, thank you for following me on this journey, and I hope you guys have a good and safe week. God bless you, and until next time, cheers.